Number one very short, and then they move to number two.
The one and two?
One is an intro, and then two.
You will talk after this.
Yeah. Yes. David M. there, lest we forget. We can't afford to forget, brothers and sisters. We must remember right throughout in our struggle and so on. Now, so here we are, another afternoon on Best FM, Best 100 FM, Best FM. The program, Bitter Sugar. Bitter Sugar. And I'm the presenter, Brother Miguel Lorne. And we seek as we go from 6 to 10 o'clock every Wednesday, right here. So we thank you all for joining us. We thank you all for listening. We thank you all for being a part of this journey. And those who have made different requests, I've had a couple of requests to play that victory chant, that victory spirit of Solomon Malangu, who, when we played it some time ago, that young man, 19 years old, stood before a judge in South Africa and tell him, you know, there will be many more after me. So those who have asked me to play it again, those who have come to me for a copy of the tape and so on, what I will do, I will play it, and I'm asking you all to tape it when I play it so that you can have it. I will make sure play it twice today so that, you know, and it's now 6:24 by my watch here. So I will play it at 6:45. It's 6:45. So you'll have time to get whatever instrument you are going to tape it on. I know these days the phones can do so many things. So you can tape it there and then transfer it to something more permanent or something, you know. But I remember the days of cassettes, and a man was put in a cassette and tape the whole thing. I don't know. That can still be done. Cassettes still exist. I have cassettes, empty one, tape, and so on. So, you know, but whatever means, so 6:45, I'll play it so that those of our listeners who have requested it can tape it one way or the other. It's a powerful stance taken by a 19-year-old, Solomon Malangu, who was hanged in South Africa, and who the things that he said to the judge, when the judge asked him, do you have anything to say before sentence is passed upon you? Yes, we don't see that very often, but a 19-year-old took the stand that he did. And at the end of his speech, he shouted, Amandla, Amandla. And some women that were in the court, one of them was his mother. And when he said Amandla, they shouted in Gawito. In South Africa, when the N tend to be silent, so what it is really spelled Ngawito. But when they said, when he says Amandla, they said Gawito, Amandla, Gawito the second time, and they shouted. It means power to the people. That's what it means. And for him to look at that white judge and said what he said, and then at the end of it, Amandla Ngawito. So brothers and sisters, it's great to know that we have warriors in our midst even today. So we'll play it at 6:45 so that you all can tape it and have it also. Tonight, I'm going to read some poetry. We find over the years many poetry books, many poems have been written by many of our brothers and sisters. And there is a strong talk whenever I send abroad poetry books that people bring to me to sell. I always, and the bookstores and the distributors always say that poetry book don't sell, poetry book don't sell. So they don't anxious to take it. But poetry book don't sell because you don't promote it. You don't glorify it. The songs sell because you keep playing the songs on the ear. People hear the song, so people want to hear it again. People tell other people who when they hear it, and that's how the songs sell. The same thing can go for poetry books, because we have had some great poetry written by Black people all over the world. So I'll be reading some poetry to highlight, you know, our poets and so on, so that we can get into it and we can encourage our people to write poems, write plays, you know, write books, and so on. So that's the aspect tonight that we're going to be dealing with. We are also going to speak with two great women tonight, two great queens, two great sisters who have worked very hard for this race, tirelessly, ceaselessly. We're going to be speaking to them. At 7 o'clock, we're going to be speaking to Flo O'Connor. Flo O'Connor, one of the great queens amongst us, brothers and sisters. That sister worked very hard over the years, worked for mothers, worked for daughters, worked for many, many brethren. And there are aspects of her work that many of you don't know about. And to let you know, those who don't know, because you have had other generations have come up since, Flo O'Connor was the coordinator for the Jamaica Council for Human Rights for many, many years. She championed human rights on behalf of grassroots people. She would go to the police stations. She would be abused many times. She would go to the prisons. She was also abused many times, but she stood her ground. In stature, a shortish little sister, but beautiful, beautiful heart, beautiful soul. And when she see what is happening now, of the problems Rastafari children are having in going to school with their dreadlocks, and in those who do not say Rastafari, but they have difficulty going to school with certain natural hair, natural locks, Flo called me and said she is so pained. She's so hurt to see all of this coming back again. Why, brothers and sisters? Because Flo and I worked together in the early 80s, 1980s, to put this rubbish out of our system of this level of discrimination, brothers and sisters. Flo and I worked on many cases. We worked on the Kirk Johnson case. We worked on the several cases, the Geary case at St. George's, the cases in Clarendon and so on. Flo O'Connor and I worked on these. I was a part of the Council, the Jamaica Council for Human Rights for a short while, but even not being an actual employee of the Jamaica Council for Human Rights, Flo and I continued to work on many of these cases, my brothers and sisters. In fact, all of these cases, all of these human rights cases, all of these cases of Rastafari rights, dreadlocks rights, black people rights, the rights of prisoners, the rights of brothers and sisters in the lockups, in the cells, and so on. Flo O'Connor lead the way, brothers and sisters. She lead the way. I was more like an assistant to her. So brilliant is the sister. There were others. There were other members of the Council for Human Rights that worked with Flo and worked with us and did great work too. But Flo was the coordinator. Flo was the glue that kept it together, that kept all these minds together. The Ronnie Tweets, Daily, Small, that is, one of the Small brothers, Richard Small, and so they were all part of the Council for Human Rights and the standing up for the rights of dignity. And like I said now, Flo was the type, she was the glue that kept it together, kept it tight, and did a lot of the groundwork. And she was so respected amongst the grassroots people, So it's an honor for me to be able to speak to Flo O'Connor for the first time on this program, Bitter Sugar. So I look forward to it at 7 o'clock. Later on tonight, at 9 o'clock, we will be speaking with Mama Vereen Shepherd. Vereen has been working assiduously, loyally, in doing the research, in getting the information to bring to us that bolster our feelings. We feel it, we know it. The DNA of the struggle is in us. But it's nice when we have persons who travel the world and gather information and bring it to help us. Now, specifically, Sister Vereen there's an article which she submitted to the Gleaner, which came out today. And the article, it's part of a series of reparations conversations. And she's dealing specifically in this article with the Morant Bay rioters that were still in the general penitentiary in the 1860s right up to the 1880s. Now, Vereen went all the way to England, went through their archives, and come across some of the documents that she'll be speaking about when we talk to her later. Yes, not here in Jamaica, she'll find it in the archives. However, when I see these things, our mind work to see how do we support the work. So those brothers that are listening, those brothers down at the General Penitentiary that listen to this program, we're going to see how we can work together, because I know the penitentiary have a lot of records, both at the General Penitentiary and the St. Catherine District Prisons. Now, I know there have been several fires over the years at the General Penitentiary in St. Catherine. And not more than likely, some of these fires destroyed some of those ancient documents. But I have pointed out to Sister Vereen that if we can get in touch with the present superintendent and the commissioner of the warden's prisons, and if we could get a few volunteers, that is brothers that are down there at GP who are serving their sentence, to assist down there and see what records we can find towards this Morant Bay journey. Because it is my understanding that many of our brothers and sisters that got their life sentences and their 20 years and other sentences, that they were serving it at the General Penitentiary. That is those who, we're talking about the Morant Bay rioters, the Morant Bay rebels, the Morant Bay warriors, brothers and sisters. That's what we're talking about. Because as you know, at this time of the year, the 11th of October, that's when it started. For me, it's personal and it is important, because that is when it's the 11th of September that I celebrate my Emancipation Day. I've been saying that on this program for years and before and so on. I have chosen that date. I wanted a date that meant that aligned myself with my ancestors. I cannot accept the date when the Queen of England said we're free, which is the 1st of August. I do not accept that. I think it is a disrespect to my ancestors if I accept a date that the Queen of England, the white Queen of England, Queen Victoria, who has such a history of murdering, ordering, decapitation, disrespect, all sorts of things, not just the Black people, but almost all many people all over the world. I couldn't accept no date she tell me now. That's when I'm free. Because they did not give us up willingly. It is the blood, sweat, and tears of my ancestors that gave I and I a certain amount of freedom. Not the generosity of no Queen of England on the 1st of August. So I've never had any respect for any 1st of August, and I prefer and I like the 11th of October, which was the day of the march by Paul Bogle and company when they marched from Stoneygut to Morant Bay at the courthouse. And what should have been a simple thing? They never marched with no cutlass and spears so they might go down, go burn down nowhere and kill nobody. They merely marched to support one of their brethren who had a case in court. It's like, you know, they went down there not before the 11th to support their brethren. And while sitting in court, and the judge find the brethren guilty, and the judge ordered the brethren to pay a fine and pay a cost. The cost was the legal cost now that he must pay. You know, sometimes you do cases, and many of you might read in the papers, and you see cases, and you see where the judge says cost is awarded to the plaintiff, or cost is awarded to the claimant, or you might see costs awarded to the respondent. Usually costs goes to the person who win the case. Now, costs means, in many of the civil cases, costs mean that is the fee that you now have to pay to the other man's lawyers if they win the case. Many times you see costs awarded now, and there are times when the costs far exceed the subject matter or far exceeds the fine in the case of criminal cases. So, when the judge ordered both the costs and the fine, some of the people shouted, pay the costs, but not the fine. And that caused an uproar because the fine is what goes to the state now. So the judge and everybody take it as an insult when you say you're not going to pay the fine. And the rest is history. We all know of the great Morant Bay uprising, the great struggle of our people for freedom and liberation. So Sister Varian Shepherd is going to be speaking to us about that. But she's going to go into a little more detail now. In that, in England, she has come across some of the records of our brothers and sisters that were locked up, and where there was a request for them in 1880 for them to be freed. The governor at the time, I think it was Peter Grant, it was certainly a Grant, and he was one of those who were asking for clemency and so on. So we're going to talk more about that so that you can hear firsthand from someone who is doing tremendous research and is making these tangible evidence available to us. So brothers and sisters, sit in as we move along. There's some who have also asked me to read again, which I will. That's what the program is for. A letter that was written by Leopold II of Belgium. He wrote this to some missionaries from Belgium who were going down to the Congo to work and to, as missionary work to save Africans, to save the souls of Africans. Well, Leopold II, who was a king in Belgium at the time, white man, and he wrote this letter to the missionaries telling them what tactics they must use to get the Africans to humble themselves and to succumb to the white man and to do the white man bidding in the Congo. Interesting. Similarly to the Willie Lynch, this letter, similar, just to put your frame of mind to the Willie Lynch syndrome, where that part where Willie Lynch says we must turn the brown fighters against the blacker fighters, and we must turn this and divide them and so on. A whole saga as to how to keep us divided and rooted and enslaved. So brothers and sisters, as we move along, thank you all. Best FM, we're drawing nearer to the time of 6:45, so let me get ready to play the Solomon Malongo plea, which has moved quite a lot of persons. In the meantime, we listen to a little of Nature Ellis as he tells.
Of those who could have acted, the indifference of those who should. We've known better. The silence of the voice of justice when it mattered most. That has made it possible for evil to triumph. It is a spiritual war, mental war, physical war. Nature Alice is here. Jehovah evil have no place in what shadow. War in a Babylon between love and hate. I tell them. War in a Babylon separate the lean from the straight. What you know? War in a Babylon between love and hate. I tell them. War in a Babylon, but Rastaman na hold the way. Oh, good and no pleasant it is for us to dwell in unity. But here comes Babylon with their hypocrisy. Brainwash education, leave the youths in illusion. All in all, it is the fight against the Rastaman. Hey, war in a Babylon, between love and hate, I tell them. War in a Babylon, separate the lean from the straight. What you know? War in a Babylon, between love and hate, I tell them. War in a Babylon, Rastaman now hold the faith. It's a religious war, racial war, fighting for will time now promote health. Babylon come with them evil spell, yeah. Tell you they can seek the scripture, do not get caught up in their rapture. Never let them school you, they only wanna abuse you. War in a Babylon, between love and hate, I tell them. War in a Babylon, separate the lean from the straight. Tell them. War in a Babylon, between love and hate, oh yeah, yeah. War in a Babylon, but Rastaman now hold the faith.
When I'm on the internet.
Yeah, man.
Huh?
Yeah.
You know, everyone I'm a thing on my press when I get.
Your phone?
Yeah.
You go and cry and see it?
We got to
I understand you're done now. Can you phone look at the government today?
between love and hate.
Trying something else.
War in a Babylon, separate the lean from the straight. Oh yeah, war in a Babylon, between love and hate. War in a Babylon, plus the banner hold the faith.
Yeah, one and next. Number 4.
4.
Yes. Yes. Nature Hell is there. And that excerpt which he started with, that it's a speech of His Imperial Majesty, where His Majesty made it quite clear, you know, it is the inaction of those who should have acted. It is the silence of the voice of justice. When it matters most, you have many people, when them come out to the meeting and them outside, them have enough talk. But inside of the meeting, them don't say nothing. That's when it matters most, many times. Them have enough talk, you go home, you walk out, them have enough talk, but in the meeting, don't say nothing. So it is those inaction that causes evil to prevail. Because if you hear certain things or you see certain things and you don't comment on it and you don't say nothing and you don't plan to change it, then that is how you allow the enemy to prevail. Right. We want to play that tape, but we're having a little difficulty with the connection. So bear with us as we move along and as we try to play that Solomon Malango for us. In the meantime, we listen to Empress Ayola. Oh yes. Oh yes. Sorry, we are. Let me just introduce it. Yes, just before we go to Empress Ayola, I'd forgotten we had already given the engineer to play none other than our ancient brother and an ancient song that the more you hear it is the more you love it. To know Farai. Bongo Herman. Blessings, my brother.
I said to know Farai, you got to come right over. I said to know Farai, you got to come right over. I said to know Farai, you got to come right over. I said to know Farai,
Yep, is that your phone
you
enough?
got to come right over. If you want to live forever, where you never, never die, never, never sleep, never tell no lie. Walking for your own, you don't have to roam. All you got to do is the most high. So far right, you got to come right over. So far right, you got to come right over.
Yes, this is one of the youth. And the church.
Want to live forever where you never, never die, never, never sleep, never lie. Walking for your own, you don't have to roam. All you got to do is the most high. So far right, you got to come right over. So far right, you got to come right over. So far right.
Yes, sir. Yes. When you have a brilliant engineer, they make these gadgets work all when them do one work, you know. So the engineers they're doing now, working on it to make sure that, you know, it has to play. In the meantime, whilst he's getting it ready, I'll just read to you all the, you know, we have a group, Rastafarians, that at different times you may have heard the term Respect Rastafari, and at other times you might hear the term Coalition of Concerned Rastafarians. Well, we have been sending out letters. We have sent out letters to the Minister of Justice, Delroy Chuck, to the Minister of National Security, to the Prime Minister, to the Commissioner of Police, and to the Chief Justice. And for some reason, you know, we have heard Chang, the Minister of National Security, make comments, but we don't get back a reply to our letter. We have heard Anthony, the Commissioner of Police, we have heard him make reference to the matters that we have written to him about, but we don't get a formal reply from him, or even an informal one as such. He had tried to set up a meeting, but it was cancelled at the last minute, and we don't get back no terms as to when the next one will take place. That's from the Commissioner. Letters have been sent to the Prime Minister and other persons. Now, we have always had persons who says, you know, it's a waste of time to send these people letters. We don't think so, brothers and sisters. We're at a time in our journey whereby we can't go out and demonstrate every day. Makes no sense we line up our people to be arrested. And we can't, we don't have other means at the moment. So we have to use some of the means. And in the past, letter writing has helped, court action has helped, demonstrations has helped, and so on. So we are going to continue to use these legal means. We might intensify them some more, but persons can't say it doesn't help, because many court cases, but it is a coalition of concerned Rastafarians. So it's a group of us, including myself, that drafted letters and sent out. He wrote back saying, our letter was entitled Continuous Harassment, Persecution, Disrespect of Rastafari in the use of our sacrament, ganja, island-wide. Now, from that heading, you get an idea what is in the body of the letter, because at the top of the letter, the captioned part of the letter, we says, the continuous harassment, persecution, disrespect of Rastafari in the use of our sacrament, ganja, island-wide, because we have brethren out in St. Thomas growing their herbs, police raid. We have brethren in St. Mary, in Portland. We have the brethren them over in St. Anne, Brother Amin and them, Brother Zosa and them have cases. Brethren's over in, I'm thinking of the areas where brothers have been charged. But you have some areas now where they raid the brothers and sisters, take away the herbs, the police I'm talking, and don't charge them on them. Or the sister them, don't charge them. I've seen that happen in some of the outer parishes there. So this is why we write the letter. You're the judge reply now. I have received your letter, and he replies on October the 8th, so just last week we get it. I have received your letter of June 23rd, 2021, which contains an offer for judicial training. Respectfully, the offer is declined. Well, how I put it, I don't know. We never say we want to go train the judge, but we feel that if we have a reasoning with some of these judges, especially in the parish court is the resident magistrate's court, that some of you know it as. We feel if we have a reasoning that can help. Well, he interpreted that to mean we want to give them judicial training. Well, nothing wrong with that. If them don't know the law and we know the law, we not can teach them the law because it is our brethren who are feeling it. How do you? It's insisted that they decline any judicial training that we are offering. He goes on to say, should you be of the view that some of your members have been wrongfully convicted, then you may wish to consider an appeal to the Court of Appeal. Yes, we know all of that, but we're trying to prevent all of that because many times in these things, brothers and sisters just go court and plead guilty. To try done with it. They can't take the come back, and all these type of things. So that is the letter from the Chief Justice to us. Naturally, we're going to follow up again to write him to say, look, this is what we are asking for. Because brothers and sisters, we can't sit down and continue to have our people going to court and facing these problems. You know, something has to be done. And that's what we are fighting for. Nice. My engineer, you ready now with the Solomon Malangu tape?
Yeah.
Right. Engineer showed me that he's now ready. So all those who want to tape it, this is not an ordinary little talk. This youth stand before the judge in South Africa, 19 years old, knowing that they are going to hang him and say what him say now, and you're going to hear it. Yes, engineer, go ahead, please.
Is there something you could tell the court before pronouncement of your sentence?
All we want is freedom. That's all we want. Freedom. Freedom for children to learn. Freedom for men to work. For mothers to love. For a nation to grow. That's all we want. Equality. For everyone. You see, I am just one of many. A foot soldier. There will be many, many more to follow. So, there is no court of law, no police force, no army that will stop the tide of revolution from turning. There is no punishment that you can lay out in this court. No law, no government can pass that will kill the will of the people. Because we will fight. We will continue to fight until all our people are free. So you can hate us, degrade us, torture us, and kill us, but we will fight, and we will be free. One day, we will be free. Mother! Amanda!
Solomon Kalushi Mashango. You are hereby sentenced to death. You will be taken to Pretoria Central Prison on a date to be set, and you will be hanged by your neck until you die.
Yes, there you have it, brothers and sisters. Always moving, overwhelming each time I hear it. The crying you hear in the courthouse is from few women that were there to witness this deadly sentence. But he himself stood firm right throughout. I want you to analyze this powerful thinking. When you're a soldier, prepared to give your life for the liberation of the people, for the revolution. This level of his thought process, he starts out by saying, all we want is to be free. Free to work, free for love, equality for everyone. Some simple sentences, some simple objectives. That's how he starts out. That's all we want. And then he goes on, he says, I'm just a foot soldier. There will be many, many, many more to follow. He's telling them, you can do whatever you want, but you cannot stop this. And then he goes on now. He says, no court, no police, no army, no punishment, no government, no law that can kill the will of the people. Making it clear to this white judge that he's before, what you do, you know. And he goes on to say, you can hate us, degrade us, torture us, but we will be free. We will be free one day. And then he gives the freedom cry, the freedom chant, the freedom salute. Amandla wetu. Amandla wetu. Power. Power to the people. So brothers and sisters, if we're not prepared, you know, don't start it, don't get involved in it. Because this youth is setting an example that goes beyond ordinary. Paul Bogle and company, they knew the consequences, you know. When the British turn on the machinery, when they bring in the militia, when they distribute the guns, and with the help of the Maroons, the British, with the help of the Maroons didn't join Paul Bogle, you know, they joined the British soldiers. They joined the white man against it. But he stood up and stood firm. So it is the Paul Bogles that rise up in youths like Solomon Malongo. So for my people who have come and checked me, especially the brethren who on John's Lane this evening, who said, look man, I have to get a copy of this. And he mentioned other things too, so I'm hoping he's listening. And that, but I'm almost certain I'm listening, but I have asked him to get him machinery ready, whatever I'm going to use, and tape this. So brothers and sisters, as promised, I know we're drawing near now because I'm due to call Sister Flo O'Connor, but I'm going to play the Solomon Malongo. What freedom fighters amongst us. Yes.
Is there something you can tell the court before pronouncement of your sentence?
All we want is freedom. That's all we want. Freedom. Freedom for children to learn. Freedom for men to work. For mothers to love. For a nation to grow. That's all we want. Equality. For everyone. You see, I am just one of many. A foot soldier. There will be many, many more to follow. So, there is no court of law, no police force, no army that will stop the tide of revolution from turning. There is no punishment that you can lay out in this court. No law, no government can pass that will kill the will
Right.
of the people.
You call this. As soon as it finish, you call this system.
Because we will fight. We will continue.
The song
to
first,
fight
or
Yeah, what's the song I play for call?
until all our people are free. And maybe we can even free you from yourselves. So you can hate us, degrade us, torture us, and kill us. But we will fight. And we will be free. One day, we will be free. Amanda! Amanda! Where to?
Solomon Kalushi Mashango. You are hereby it, and you will be hanged by your neck until you die.
Yeah, man. Now, brothers and sisters, when you hear the words of such a youth stand up the way him stand up, and then when you think of it now in South Africa today, the white man still has the power in South Africa. He has given the black man the jacket and tie and the presidential role and the ministerial garments. That's what they have given to the black people. But the banks, the leading banks in South Africa, owned and controlled by the white people. The gold mines in South Africa, black people get a little of the crumbs, but the majority of the gold mine benefit white people. They own the bank, the mines, the diamond mines, and all these great minerals that you have in South Africa benefit white people. And if those mines are not enough, they're lacking enough. Right now I'm talking. The power of the white man in South Africa right now is even more secure than at the time when Solomon Malongo talked and made that speech. They like it now. It's good, they say. Even some that had run away from South Africa and went to Zimbabwe. Some of them had gone to Australia. Some of them had gone to New Zealand. They come back because the privileges, the opportunities, the luxuries they enjoy in South Africa, they don't get it anywhere else. So like Solomon Malongo and the many other youth sisters, there were thousands like him. The sacrifice that they made, and to see now that the spoils of freedom, the sacrifices, the blood, sweat, and tears that was sacrificed for a free South Africa, and what we see is the white man continue to rule. I drove in South Africa, brothers and sisters. And when I'm driving on the road, I'm looking at the fence of the land. And the fences reveals a lot to us. Because each family that owns a farm, they paint their fence and their fence post color. So as you drive and you see this a gate, and above that gate you might see Dush Kush Kush farm, and then you drive, you drive like 100 miles, and as you go along, all you're seeing is Dush Kush Kush farm. And you're gone 200 miles, see him color posts, because he paints his colors on the post. And you drive 200 miles and there you say Dush Kush Kush farm. Then you come up on another gate and you might see Voster farm. And you drive your next 200 miles again or 300 miles, and you're seeing all because he has painted his place, his family, and them with a different color. So you're seeing that color for the next 300 miles to show that that is the border of his farm. And that's what you see right throughout South Africa. The only thing I come across with black people is some little shop here, some little things here that owned by, you see a black man name or something like that. But the land, the farms, controlled by the white people. So what did Solomon Malongo make the sacrifice for? If the leadership of South Africa is sellouts, brothers and sisters, and we have to make it clear to you, sellouts. You can't make a youth like that, and the thousands of other youths like that who gave their lives for the struggle, and they are still struggling. Their mothers and fathers still struggling, because the few blacks that you have put into power are blacks, the house niggers, who are lining their pockets personally. They're all millionaires, whilst the people continue in Alexandria, where they have little bit of toilets that the people have to use. In many of the townships, the apartheid is strong. People still live in zinc houses made of zinc. You know what zinc is like in an African country, where sometimes when that sun boil hot and no flooring, the dirt is the floor. That's right, happening right now in South Africa. Many of the areas. When you go there first in South Africa, you see some areas where at least you could have some track where you could have walk in between some of the houses that people build. I mean, I talk concrete houses, I talk shacks and things, And the next time you go, you see even the tracks where you did walk through the last time, even in the middle of the track, the Virgin did live when we come, man. I'm saying, yes, man, I'm house over there, so, and we have to go so, because the walkway that you used to take, no, a man just put him house in the middle of this. So. That is how hard it is, brothers and sisters. Very hard in South Africa. So don't make no ghost fool you. And you all can look it up and read it for yourself. All of the leading banks them in South Africa owned and controlled by white people right now. So what did Solomon sacrifice for? And the many, many youths who were executed. Give it some thought, no? Give it some thought. Because when I watch the South Africa cricket team, it's just every now and then they see them put in a little token black on it. You understand? By far, the majority of people in the country is black people. By far. Yet, a lot of the teams that I see coming out of South Africa, especially the rugby team, especially the cricket team and them sport there, white people. When I watch some of the matches played in South Africa, because I make it no pretense about it, everything I do, I see through black eyes. So if I'm watching sport, I'm watching cricket, I look through black eyes. And when I look through black eyes, I notice that in the stadium, it's white people. Black people can't afford for them to play so much. Ticket too dear. So brothers and sisters, yes. No. We played it a second time already. Huh?
Yeah.
So we have played it 2 times now. So by right, everybody should be able to tape it now.
We can play it again later if you have time.
All right. Well, engineer same can play it towards the end of the program. Good, but we have to move through now. You have her on the line?
No, you said it.
Yes, we'll entertain Sister Ayola, powerful sister, and then we'll speak with Floacon.
King Selassie, I know them. Rastafari shall overthrow them. Selassie, I am, if you put that on a level. I am, save the evil. Yeah, keep a calm and humble. Walking around, calling upon your name. The fire you burn, consuming your flames. Righteousness is what prevails. Now you see, you become a base. I am, child experience. I am, see put that on a level. I am, save the evil. Jah, if I cross father stumble. I am, child experience. I am, see put that on a level. I am, save the evil. Jah, keep a calm and humble. Under your false pretense, with your one bag of nonsense, strutting your stuff about, yet you don't have a cent. Many will say to be poor is a crime. The riches of Jah is all that's mine. Commonplaces are once in decline. In that is your time. I am, child if you please. I am, if you put that on a level. I am, save the believer. Jah, you cannot fall and stumble. I am, child if you please. I am, if you put that on a level. I am, save the believer. Jah, keep a calm
We'll play
and
this one.
humble.
We'll play this one next when I finish it.
All right, sir. She's there.
That one.
Number 1.
Yes, 1 and 2. Go. Yes, greetings and blessings. Greetings, Sister Flo. Blessings and honor. Great to have you. Give thanks, my sister. How are you? I I give thanks, Flo, and we also think of you. Many, many, many. I presume Juby has called you? Yes. Ever since he has arrived, he says, Brother Miguel, how can I reach Sister Flo? You know? Yes. And he has told me of the many brothers abroad who inquire about you and want to make sure that you are the same powerful Flo O'Connor in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s when you carried this struggle so much. I have told my listeners that I regard you as the glue that held it together as the coordinator of the Jamaica Council for Human Rights. You kept it together between all the lawyers and all the workers and so on. You were the one who kept it together all those years and ensured that we had some semblances of justice. Yes. 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 Tell us about it, because at the time you all were putting out, you were tabulating each case that came to the council. You tabulated each one, and you had a newsletter. Yes. What was the name of that newsletter, Flo, you recall? Yes. Yes. And you, yes, continue. Yes. Yes. Mm-hmm. 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 And you were making sure by that newsletter now that that information comes out. Mm-hmm. 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 Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Would you say to some that, because for our people to understand it, this was before Indicom, this was before Jamaicans for Justice, you know what I mean? All these, this was before Public Defender, and all these institutions which have come after now. The Jamaica Council for Human Rights, with you as the coordinator, was doing all of this work. Mm-hmm. 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 Mhm. 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 Yes. Mhm. 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 Well, you all would prepare the briefs. You would take the statements. You would have your staff research the law, research the different areas, and you virtually gave us the brief 100% ready. That was all. So it was almost like a solicitor barrister system where you and your counsel now would prepare, do all the groundwork, all the preparatory work. Yes, yes. Mhm. 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 Yes. That we worked on together. That we worked on together. Yes. Absolutely. Yes. Yes. Uh, yes. Absolutely. Yes. 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 Uh, brutal. 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 I also remembered, Flo, that when they were trying to move the vendors off the streets, you were the lioness raging that this is so horrible, standing up for the vendors and the women. Mhm. Yes. Mhm. 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 So, which goes to show then that with a little bit of training and understanding and civility, things can shave, things can change. Yes, yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Mm-hmm. 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 Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm. 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 Yes. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. 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 Yes. Wow, wow, wow. And so for those who just join us, we have the honor of speaking to none other than Sister Flo O'Connor. For how long you were the coordinator at the Jamaica Council for Human Rights, Sister Flo? 20 years. You gave 20 years. Wow. And during those 20 years, you never go home early one evening yet? Yes. 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 Mm-hmm. Yes. And listeners, 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning, we're talking about AM, 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning. Yes, this was a regular thing with Sister Flo. They're working, like I said, even to get off things to go to England, that had to meet certain deadline for Privy Council arguments and so on. Whoa, whoa. Mm-hmm. Yes. So yes. Mm-hmm. 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 Absolutely. Mm-hmm. 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 And many of them have made, well, you have just mentioned some of them, but many of them have made tremendous contribution to nation building. Yes. Mm-hmm. 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 I know many persons listening to you now and realize that you have this hands-on knowledge. They would be saying to themselves, how can we get your brains to help solve some of the situations now? I'm certain. Yeah. Yeah. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yes. 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 A fashion. Mm-hmm. 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 Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No, not many. Not many at all. Mm-hmm. Yes. Uh, no, no, you're not missing any of them when you don't read the newspapers flow. None of them. The trade unions, the churches, all of them, no, sir. Mm-mm. The political parties, no, sir. You're not hearing no standing up for human rights and things of that nature. Mm-hmm. 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 You were also involved in a lot, apart from the legal side of things and helping people under privilege and some of them who were convicted without legal representation and all that. But you also were involved in a lot of social work. Yes. Mhm. Yes. Mm-hmm. 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 Mhm. 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 Absolutely. As you mentioned, yes, if you had done other things, yes. And as you mentioned Goodrich now, because my little brain tell me, because Father Goodrich played a very important role in the UNIA. You want to tell us about it? Yes, yes. Mhm. 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 Okay, beautiful, beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Yes, yes, I did hear of Father Goodrich work along that lines and the role that he played. But Flo, you have to document these things. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah. Mm-hmm. 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 Yes, I think I know the rest of the story. Mm-hmm. 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 Whoa, whoa, whoa. In other words, you were born into the struggle. You lived the life of the struggle. You carried out many works and so on. And, you know, I know when people do so much work that I saw you did, and like I knew of the days and the late nights and all these things, Floyd, and so on. And I usually know that it's very few times that you hear thanks. Mm. Yes, 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 yes. Yes, yes, Aye. Yes. Absolutely. Very good. Very, very good. Well, Flo, I am so glad, and I know many of my listeners are very, very glad to hear you. I know for the course of the rest of the week and next week, there are men who are going to get in touch with me and so on. No, you're going to be telling it. It's in your blood. It's in your blood, Flo. It's in your blood. You have given so much for so many, for the humble people all these years. And we really want to thank you. We want to really give thanks to you and so on. So, Flo, mm, mhm, mhm. Sound good. Sound good. Flo, I want to thank you. Thank you very, very much. Thank you. And we are going to keep in touch with you. And anytime at all you want to your vast experience, your knowledge of the work, you have been in the forefront of the struggle, and we say a big, big great to you. Thank you, my sister. Blessings and honor. Yes. Absolutely. Give thanks. Blessings and honor. One love. One love. Thanks. Yes, there you have it. That's Sister Flo O'Connor. We really want to thank her. Um, wasn't easy, but we said, Flo, there are too much people in Jamaica want to hear your voice. There's so many people that have asked me for Flo O'Connor. People have written, people have sent emails, some abroad. How is Flo O'Connor? Oh. And all I can tell them is, I know she's healthy and well. And, the next set of questions, I said, brethren, I know she's healthy and well. That's all I can tell them. So now when people hear her voice, hear how strong she is, hear how bright she is, hear how intellectually sound she is, wow, that struggle for human rights, for many, many youths who would have been either permanent on death row or would have walked the gallows because of, in some cases, it was so blatant injustice, blatant, where youths' lives were set up. Those days, all you have to do is give a certain address. Once you mention your home address and it is from certain area, wow, you're going to be in problems. You're going to be in problems. Right. After the Solomon Malango standing up in the court there, I wanted to play the South African anthem after. You might have to tape it and so on. So we're working on it. The engineer going to do some jigsaw with it. It's not playing in the system here, so sometimes he organize it on another system and then bring it back to this system and transfer it to another system, and all these things he does to ensure. But I thought it very appropriate. I wanted it to play immediately after Salam Malango's speech finished, but it wasn't working. So he's gone now to get it organized. But we must play the South African anthem after all of that and so on. You know, brothers and sisters, Jamaica is a mystic country. You know, when I saw the Haitians crossing the river from Mexico going over into America, into Texas, and the police on their horses and their whips attacking our people and forcing them back. And some of them were airlifted back to Haiti. Well, I just felt that there were some Jamaicans in that crowd when they kept saying it's Haiti. My majority might have been Haitians, but I just said to myself, I bet there's some Jamaicans in that crowd. Well, I've now confirmed that there were some Jamaicans in that crowd. Yes, some people from JA went up and made the move to cross the border and attacking those that the boat lick up the other day and said attacking in this new wave. That is the interim these days. Third wave and new wave and odd wave and all. Well, and this new wave, we just saw on the television a few weeks ago about people, some Jamaicans were in that. Here the irony now. 1 and 2 Jamaicans were actually flown to Haiti from America, you know, put them on plane and fly to Haiti. So I said, be it. I don't think them that just put them on plane and fly them to Haiti if them papers don't show that. So I assume that whatever papers they had going over into America, it must have shown some Haitian connection. But some of them are back, Jamaicans, you know. And then having been flown back to Haiti now, some of them have actually come back to Jamaica. So I said to one of them this week, Bridget, oh, you could have planned for getting now with the Haitians on the beach. Because if them fly you back to Haiti, you must try to get you as a Haitian. How you think? Him said, no problem, man. So I said, but when them start questioning you know French patois, because the majority of people in Haiti, especially grassroots people, they speak French patois. Same way in St. Lucia and a couple of the islands. So I say, you know in the French patois, you're going to join the Haitian caravan. I don't know no French patois. The man said, Miguel, I take 2 weeks and learn it. I say, me. He said, boy, they move with them and, you know, them teach him some and him even put in some patois in as it. When him talk to them, put in some Jamaica patois, him talk now, you know. Him put some Jamaica patois in it. And him say them understand and really, because some of them familiar with dancehall music and them hear the Jamaican lingo and all of that. So them can relate to it. So when them talk the French patois, show some Jamaican patois in it and everything flew, everybody understand him and then them talk back to him. But he might tell me, he says 2 weeks him take and learn enough French patois that him can join the caravan. No, brothers and sisters. Even if, I never miss him so long, so but even if it's 4 weeks him take, that's remarkable, you know. Remarkable. And of course, to where it park and thing, when we say, you know, him even start to talk some French patois. For me for hear, and for some man on the corners for hear also, for say, see it, one next language. And I said to myself, if them they put this youth in our school and say learn any of them languages, you know, I know after if you're lucky if him finish the year in that subject. You understand? Because whether is you know, but it's obvious now that because him had to learn it, because him traveling on a Haitian caravan, so him can't when talking a go on, him can't utter much English. You know, him have to swing in some French patois that them know. So well, him is one of them. You know, and for him to take even if it's 4 weeks to learn enough that him can communicate. You know, fantastic brothers and sisters, amazing, amazing. I lived in a country where speak French patois. I lived there for 3 years. You know, and the English is only spoken like in parliament, in court, and the formal occasions. But on the streets, in the markets, and the ups and downs is French patois talk. This is in St. Lucia, you know. And this youth, you know, where the couple of weeks where him learn, by far the little me know, by far. And this is amazing. It shows that they are natural talent. I see it already, you know. I remember one time a youth and the police them broke up in place, broke up in house and thing and thing. And we brought a lawsuit against the government. And the government settled out of court. When we came, and he came and we gave him the money, I was making suggestions to him as to how he could turn the money. I said, Virgin, if you just go spend and frost out this thing and it will done and you're back to square one. So you have to turn the money to take yourself out of some of the poverty. He said to me, no, man. Straight abroad, me I go now. Me have my thing set up, 1, 2, 3. Straight abroad, me I go. So I said, then, boy, then all of this money, him say yes, and him not mine. And so I said, I don't want to say nothing to discourage him, but me I think in my mind, suppose it no work, you go just lose it. And even me would put in a lot of work, me I want it just gone, so. Him say, no, man, don't worry. Well, about a month later, I get this call from New York. And when I hear some Spanish are cut and thing, so I say, wait. And let us for argument's sake, we call him Juba. And I said, Juba, are you that? He said, yeah, man. So I said, where they know? He said, boy, I'm in Brooklyn, you know. I said, yeah. So a while ago, you tell me buenos dias and buenos that and this, that, and that. What? You know Spanish now? He said, yes, bro, Miguel. Me did have to learn little Spanish to come in. So right away, I said to me, he said, it's a Spanish-speaking caravan or tour or set of people. He must go join. That him, I may tell you, them youth are troublemaker. Them not about thing. Even if I go to school and the teacher teach Spanish, them not listen. Them none of that. But yet, in whichever group he was in order to cross the border into the US, he was obviously with a Spanish company. And he learned quite a bit of the Spanish. So I'm saying all of this that we probably need to make the lessons more attractive. We might have to make it clear to him that when you're teaching at the school, we might have to make it clear, say, boy, this Spanish lesson is to enable you that when you join the caravan in Guatemala or in Panama, you'll be able to talk some Spanish if you're interrogated when the border in Mexico or when you pass through Mexico and the border with Texas, you have to know some Spanish. We might have to find some way, but for these youths, and when I tell us that these youths are troublesome youth, troublesome. The one we talk the Haitian, one we know the Spanish, them are troublesome youth who they just want left Jamaica. Well, the one where they are now, him, apparently he not get through for the first round, so they are now rebrand himself and organize himself to go again because he said, boy, really and truly thing. And when I taught the Haitian Spanish, I rob him though, you know. Even when him now outright admitted to me, his mother tell me, his mother said, look, bro, him rob. And I cure me tell him saying for stop him. Tell me every time him have him gun and I saw him live by. So me here say man go move now. Me only too happy, me only hope him have enough French patois knowledge that when him reach the border, him can't talk like Haitians. Although the Haitians I get a raw deal, now them not get a special treatment. Wow. It's interesting that there were Jamaicans in that crossing that were living under the bridge over there in Texas before they were chased back. And, you know, some of them were put on flights to Haiti. Yes. Don't know if you're ready yet?
Yeah, 1 and 2?
Yes, man. Very good, very good. He's gonna play the South Africa. He's gonna play the Pan-African anthem first, and then yes, or they refer to it as the African Union anthem. African Union anthem that will be played first, and then the South African national anthem will follow.
Victories of our liberation. Let us dedicate ourselves to rise together to defend our liberty and unity. Oh, sons and daughters of Africa, flesh of the sky, flesh of the sky. Let us make Africa the tree of life. Let us all unite and sing together to uphold the bonds that frame our destiny, our destiny. Let us dedicate ourselves to fight together for lasting peace and justice on earth. Oh, sons and daughters of Africa, flesh of the sun and flesh of the sky. Let us make Africa the tree of life. Let us all unite and join together to give the best we to Africa, the cradle of mankind and fount of culture. Our pride and hope and break of dawn. Oh, sons and daughters of Africa, flesh of the sun and flesh of the sky. Let us make Africa the tree of life.
So come here, just go by the back. You could have played you talking with the song in the background. Yes.
This song?
Yes, with this one.
Let's start with that song.
And back one, put in this way.
After that,
Is there something you could tell the court before pronouncement of your sentence?
All we want is freedom. That's all we want. Freedom. Freedom for children to learn. Freedom for men to work. For mothers to love. For a nation to grow. That's all we want. Quality. For everyone. You see, I am just one of many. A foot soldier. There will be many, many more to follow. So, there is no court of law, no police force, no army that will stop the tide of revolution from turning. There is no punishment that you can lay out in this court. No law, no government can pass that will kill the will of the people. Because we will fight. We will continue to fight until all our people are free. And maybe we can even free you from yourself. So you can hate us, degrade us, torture us, kill us, but we will fight. And we will be free. One day, we will be free. Lorne!
Solomon Kalushi Masham. You are hereby sentenced to death. You will be taken to Pretoria Central Prison on a date to be set, and you will be hanged by your neck until you die. Is there something you could tell the court before pronouncement of your sentence?
All we want is freedom.
You want me to come back?
Yeah, man, continue the same way, man.
That's all we want. Freedom. Freedom for children to learn. Freedom for men to work. For mothers to love. For a nation to grow. That's all we want. Quality. For everyone. You see, I am just one of many. A foot soldier. There will be many, many more to follow. So, there is no court of law, no police force, no army. It will stop the tide of revolution from turning. There is no punishment that you can lay out in this court. No law, no government can pass that will kill the will of the people. Because we will fight. We will continue to fight until all our people are free. And maybe even free you from yourself. So you can hate us.
Go with it. Sikelela tout ça pour loyaux. Revolution is a must. No colonized message in the music. Revolution is a must. A poem from Brother I Nation. As he says, no colonized message in the music. Revolution is a must. Not even in death you can deny it. Not a magic carpet ride to stardom. Don't hail Farai to get attention. Concern is for the welfare of the people, not for a career and having a hit song. Reggae, the music on a mission. Rastafari, the vision. A principled decision. Rescue the lamb from the slaughter. Return the pen to the lion. No colonized message in the music. Revolution is a must. Not even in death you can deny it. Constant change of matter and netta, spirit and ether. Cycle of life on harmony drive. Rastafari steers the ride. Reggae the alchemist. Debase men into gods in flesh. It's not a fancy to have a world of happiness. We once did before the caves were open. It shall again be once our green eye reopens. No colonized message in the music. Revolution is a must. Not even in death you can deny it. Almighty Supreme, revolution omnipresent, evolution omnipresent, volition omnipresent, all praises be unto the revolution, Rastafari homeland. Reggae, the farmer plowing sorrows and reaping joy. Thorns out your vineyard, or crown of thorns. Which do you choose? Can you envisage beyond the two? No colonized message in the music. Revolution is a must. Not even in death you can deny it. That's a poem, Revolution is a Must, by our well-known and great brethren, Brother I Nation. Beautiful. Says, don't heal Farai to get attention. Put the revolution in the music. Serious business, brothers and sisters. Very, very serious business. You know, when I listen to the song and Solomon Malango, it's them youth, they inspire a portion of I and I, you know. And I and my brethren, them quote the Toffee Dread, Errol, and portion of other youths, I and I, where after we leave school and start dreadlocks up and heal Farai seriously. And when we hear up them brethren, then the struggle down in South Africa, where them I go through and hold them stand and the revolution. And so a portion I and I as Rastafari youth now, until this day, you know, whenever and I, we do wear black shoes. That was part of our solidarity with our brothers and sisters in South Africa, that we wouldn't wear. Black must not be at the lowest part of our body, so we don't wear black shoes until now. The other thing is that we don't wear no gold. Reason being that because so much of our brothers and sisters were being brutalized in South Africa because of the gold and them things there. We said no, because we could end up with a piece of gold upon with chest or upon with hand or upon something, which caused the blood of my black brothers and sisters in South Africa. So I and I as Rasta youth now, we said no, we now wear no gold. Because we don't know where it come from. A man tell us it come from yourself. We said no, we just don't want no jewel with no gold where might have come from South Africa. And I saw come our little solidarity with our brothers and sisters, you know. We know it never much, but I just our little feelings that, you know, if you say, well, you know, yeah, man, the revolution, you know, to show and the solidarity and so on. You know that like I said, I want to read some more poem, you know. You'd have a little book come out named Callaloo, Callalloo. But I know when we hear Callaloo, the first thing we think of is Jamaica. But this little book named Callaloo now is actually came out of Grenada. You know, 4 writers from Grenada. You know, 4 writers from Grenada. And the revolution in Grenada. The 4 writers are Jacob Ross, Merle Collins, Renalph Gibbon, and Gloria Hamilton. And they, you know, they have, in this book, they have some plays, they have some short stories, very interesting, and they have some poetry also. But named Callaloo, 4 writers. Now, Merle Collins, and here she have a drawing beside her, nice sister, with the drawing of Grenada on her t-shirt, on her chest, her blouse. And she have a drawing of her with a raised clenched fist salute. And this is what she says. Callaloo, mix up like Callaloo. Not no watery Callaloo, but a hot, thick, sweet Callaloo. Burning your tongue with them chunk. Oh, dumpling going down, nice, and with coconut with, wow, or without coconut with it, or without deaders, as the case may be, and the taste may be, and the pocket may be. But sweet and hot, that is what it feel like to be part of this revolution reality. Read that again. That is what it feel like to be part of this revolution reality. Oh, this waking up reality. Oh, this no more hiding your passport reality. No more hanging your head and and shuffling your foot and trying to hide behind the person in front of you, like little Janet behind her mother's skirt. When the man asked, "Where you from?" No more playing you're doing here, or saying something like a island nearby Trinidad, or a few miles off Venezuela, but out loud and bold, like you make the name Grenada, Grenada, and with your head in the air, because the world is yours, and you know it's yours, and you're not going to be meek, and wait to see if somebody gonna let you inherit the earth, because you know already is yours. So you say loud and clear, loud and proud, Grenada, Grenada. And your silent scream, which he must be here, because he look up into your claiming eyes, says, that mean revolution, that mean progress, that mean forward, that means sharing and caring and believing and living and loving. That means a country in the Caribbean and Latin America and the Americas in the struggle in the world. That means comrade, a people like the people in Cuba, in Nicaragua, in Zimbabwe, in struggling South Africa, in all them countries there, where the people them know that the donkey say the world ain't level. Even donkey himself must he does shake the head to feel them bumps and know how things are hard for some too and soft for so hard for some too and so soft for others. All away in this world, so mixed up like callaloo, and yet so not like callaloo. And that is why the change and the promise of the change is sweet and strong like the soup where granny cover it down there and let it consume like that. Hot, sweet, burning, heavy callaloo. Right, the book in callaloo, and she's talking about callaloo. And I should point out now that this is how the people had felt in Grenada. That, like she said, it's not that no longer know when I'm asked where you come from, you're going like, here and all that. After that revolution led by Maurice Bishop, when they overthrew the Geary regime, the people felt so proud to be Grenadans. And there was a spirit, an uplifting spirit, a strong spirit, brothers and sisters, a free spirit. And the Americans couldn't really tolerate a revolution of that nature right in their backyard. Little Grenada, little Grenada. And the American mighty army, mighty with them all sort of weapons, invade and turn back the revolution in Grenada. But the writings live on, the writings is there, and yes. And this one it says a lesson, the lesson. But she says here, for Granny, freedom never existed. Toussaint was a whispered curse. Her heroes were in Europe, not in the Caribbean, not in Africa, and of course, none in Grenada. Her geography was of the Arctic Ocean and the Mediterranean. She spoke of Nova Assembly, Francis Joseph Land, and Spitsbergen in the Arctic Ocean. Ireland and the Faroe Islands belonged to Denmark. Spoke of Parrot Lake, of Corsica, Sardinia, Sicily, Malta, the Lemon Islands, and the islands of the archipelago in the Mediterranean. Yes. So she's showing you how when the people them come out, granny, and so they were proud to be. Her heroes were not in the Caribbean. Her heroes were not in Africa. Her heroes was the white people, and so on. So that's Callaloo. And there are other poems here. You have one named Butterfly Born, and so on. But right throughout the theme of the poems is the revolution in Grenada, which we love and we appreciate. And although it turned back, you know, that you would say we will fight. We'll make sure that we fight. As we continue, the next poem that I will read is, I don't know, some of you may have heard of Rachel Manley. I think I don't think she's a daughter of Michael Manley. I think it's probably some niece or so, but she related to the Manley, them and so on. So she had put out a book of poetry. The name of the book is A Light Left On. It says here now, and this one name, Bob Marley's Dead. For drum. Bob Marley's dead. The moon is full, heavy yellow, Marley's dead, and there is prophecy. Hallelujah, Jah is singing on the moon, and all our pain is like the shadow of a branch across its face. It's not the king who lives, long live the king, it is a kingdom lives. My island is a mother, bearing wombs. I rise at my beginning, the squalor, the flower. The moon is dead, she bleeds. Marley's dead, and here is prophecy. The kingdom lives, a heart of drums, a small town throbs. We have begun. The phoenix from a fantasy. I wake, I break faith with the white dream. The moon is black. My mother sings with me. Oh, Marley's dead. And there is the prophecy. That's Rachel Manley, A Light Left On. One of the outstanding poets is a virgin named Ras Jaja. Ras Jaja has written quite some nice poetry. There. And I want to just say a few of them. He says here, same African, I'm the same African. In 1657 in Ghana, Africa, they caught I. Whoa, they caught I in this trap. Whoa, where are they taking I to? Why are they forcing so many of us in these passages and dungeons? What did you say, my brother? Oh, we are in Elmina, at the building with the door of no return. I'm so hot in this place. Boy, look at these white, strange-looking men are treating the women and children. I can't take this no longer. What is this? Are they really going to put us in that big, big boat, still chained to each other so tightly? The boat is now in the Atlantic Ocean. This treacherous voyage that we are subjugated to is evil and wicked to the African nation. Half of us were thrown overboard in the sea. The rest of us survivors, they distribute all over the Americas. I was staying to the island of Jamaica. They paraded us on an auction block and sold us to different planters. I was sold to the Golding plantation, and Bakra Golding was not a nice man. He used the whip over our backs to please his sadistic ways. I tried to run away, but I was caught by Bakra's watchmen. I was beaten until I couldn't take any more. They left me in the barn. After I'd gotten better, I told myself I was going to be free from this plantation. And that I did when I organized with my friends to burn the great house and light the fields. We lit the house and the field at the same time on a Sunday night. Backwards family and watchmen were confused, so we all ran as fast as we could. I am free now, free, free from slavery. In the year 1834 to 38, we were finally full free. Any work that I'm doing now, I have to get paid. The politicians have now tricked us with their parties and politics, and the nation has become divided by the political parties. So I sought Rastafari, and from that time in Africa, I am now who I am, the same man. I am the same African. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. It says your world smile. When children happy, the world full smile. No abuse. Don't abuse the youth them. Care for the child. No human trafficking. No take with the picnic. Don't take with the picnic them. Leave them alone. Make them positively excel. And that's Ras Jaja, and from his book of poetry. You know Ras Jaja? Yes. As we move along here now and we read up some more poetry. Nice. You know, over the years, we have had, like we said, at 9 o'clock now, we're going to be calling Sister Verine Shepherd to talk to us about the Morant Bay War, Morant Bay Uprising, you know, and so on. This one now, Kamau Brathwaite, remember that outstanding Barbadian writer, poet, lecturer at university here and so on. He recently joined the Ancestors. This book is entitled Third World Poems by Edward Kamau Brathwaite, Barbadian brother and so on. Man-child is one name, man-child. I escaped them afar. Musk rose blooms, the tight room with its oils drying clothes. Steel musk of never cream, the skin drying of sweat, the mattress drying of rot. He will not open the window for fear of intruders. Yesterday, the girl raped in the toilet of the Carib Cinema by 4. 14-year-old youth. Yesterday, the girl raped coming home from school. Yesterday, the girl raped in her home in her own bed, and all her dollars taken. The room stifles the forehead as the niche sings. If she had had a child, it would have been a girl sleeping, or a boy sucking his thumb, pushing his soles through the hole in the blanket. You want out the light? The breast small and familiar, coconut oil as she stands close, the rayon slipped on, thin as a skin now, luminous with flesh. Black span of darkness, your bridge to her world. And she, arching, glowing closer, closer, curving as the world curves, as the evening curves, the wind like a soft fresh showers, her almond of silence. She enters your soul, displacing your anger, the day's useless lumber. She lets it explore you, converting your prone to Columbus, some eyeless African sailor, and brings you home hero, circled with flowers, confetti of love, blinding you. But she's locked still in her island. Your key will click, responsive to its surge of heat The gear will shift, its metal tendon scraping, wheels steer in the gravel as darkness explodes in the engine, the owls of the lights blinking on at the gate. Oh, way on lard how it hot, how greasy, and the picnic dress them to dawn, and the long track, and night tick, 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 machine pedal clattering on, and the clock stuck at 1:35, 1:35, 1:35. See how my eye can prop open even, and the rent to pay, and one coming tomorrow. And who will remember them ancient days that are walking to school, walkers would Ocherios, how up Pranalang down to Camper downtown, and the man want I sleep with him, and I get my exam, and the man say, make I go with him, and I can barely stand to look on him. But what you go do when your belly gone slack, and you're young, gifted, and black? Him drive away now, and him drive away now in him company car, and him see-through shirt, and him Rolex, while I sitting down here with this fine tooth comb, trying to scratch out the lies that I tell. Cause a girl got to learn not to get too old, not to let it look that she belly gone cold. For these man who is here tonight and tomorrow is them game. Come out, Brathwaite, out of Barbados. Now, I have a brother named Brother Resistance, a serious Calypsonian, but he has also put out a book of poetry named Rhapsody Explosion, Brother Resistance. And here's one that I like here now that we're going to read. Middle Passage Rhythm. As we all know, the Middle Passage, that's the crossing over from Africa to here as we cross the Atlantic Ocean, that we have always referred to as the Middle Passage. This one called Middle Passage Rhythm by a brother out of Trinidad, Brother Resistance. Yes, I think he recently joined the Ancestors, you know. I'll check it out. Is what you can't feel. Is what you can't feel. The rhythm, eh? You can't feel it all over, all inside out, all in your belly. You can't feel the motion of the ocean. Man, we're traveling thousands of miles across hundreds of years ago. You can't move it. You can't move on captive muscle in this stinking slave trader hustling to the slave market because we pack up like living sardine in a rusty tin is full jamming, man the ship overload, and still we're traveling thousands of miles across hundreds of years ago. And them big shark the trailing and wheeling in the bloody ocean waiting for a taste at the next black body they throw overboard. Thousands of miles across, hundreds of years ago. One more stinking slave trader on the crossing, whispering through the seas of destruction over waves of time, crashing against manhood over and over and over again. Oh, Africa, Mother Africa, your sons and daughters shipping slowly across the Middle Passage, chained to the stern. Ah, the ocean with destination is the new world plantation in the land of slavery. So you can't feel So you can feel the motion of the ocean rocking all over as one more rebel cargo and human merchandise hustling across the Middle Passage, the Atlantic graveyard, to build up a primitive Europe. Man, we're traveling, shackled to the pain again, and all down with sweaty stones, we're bearing the strain of this journey. Black man crying, black man dying, ship sailing on and on to the new world slave yard. Man, this bloody ocean violent too bad. I said the rhythms and this shark infested, slave infested ocean holds the truth at the most inhuman voyage ever made by the people and the history of mankind. Listen, the motion of the ocean. Feel the rhythm too, thousands of miles across, hundreds of years ago, transplanted people, traveling, traveling, traveling. Nice, but a resistance out of Trinidad that we have there. Nice. So as we move along, brothers and sisters, we coming nearer now to, as I see that Germany, we have a new chancellor. God, them say Angela Merkel has resigned. Like I said, I see everything through black eyes. And I don't see where Angela Merkel, the chancellor, who has resigned, and them have election and them planning to select a new government. But I don't see where she did anything to address the Black Holocaust. The Black Holocaust, which lasted from 1890 to 1945. That is the Black people that were killed by the Germans in Africa, in places like Namibia, Tanzania, those countries where the Germans, late in their colonization compared to the other Europeans, came with a vengeance and a brutality. And between 1890 to 1945, they killed many Africans. I've many times mentioned on this program the Herero people and the Nama people of Namibia. But there were also other Africans killed by them in Tanzania. So like I said, no, I don't see where this Chancellor, Angela Merkel, did anything to right the wrongs that her forebears carried out against Black people in that 55-year stretch. Like I said, they killed them in Africa, and there were quite a number of Blacks. For example, there were some Blacks that came over with the French army. These were some Black people who were coming out of North Africa who fought on the side of the French army. Well, some of them tried to stay in Germany even after the war, or some of them, but many of them were murdered even after the war ended. You see, and then even those that were not murdered outright, the Germans carried out a policy of sterilization because they didn't want any, her tenure couldn't be so good if she never corrects some of those wrongs. So, Africa, the rebel. piece of paper there. Yeah. Yeah, my phone over there. My phone, it's over there.
No, I give it for
Oh, no, man. Very simple on the line. Yes, greetings and blessings. Greetings, Sister Sister Vereen. Happy to have you. Yes, it's an honor for us, and so on. Right. Apart from, well, your many writings and your many works, you know, which we are grateful for, very grateful. You have traveled the world, you have done research, you have brought it to us, and this knowledge emboldens us, you know, when we stand to speak before a certain audience and we can draw on the facts and so on. It makes us feel so proud. So we really want to thank you, you know. Yes. Absolutely. No, and what's, well, we know it's roughly what we call Paul Bogle time at this time, because the 11th of October, when that, the one Paul Bogle. And so we're going to talk a little about that, but we want to take it from a different angle tonight, because the article that you had in the Gleaner today, it speaks about Morant Bay rioters still in the general penitentiary because of 1865. Yes. Tell us, you discovered a list of some of our brothers and sisters that were in the general penitentiary as part of the punishment from fighting for their rights in 1865 in the Morant Bay War. Yes. Mm-hmm. 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 Yes. Mm-hmm. And chances are in those days, life mean life. Yes. Certainly not. Mhm. Yes. 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 I noticed I didn't call them rioters. As I say warriors. Yes. Yes. No, they do have it in court. Why? Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. So they were in the general penitentiary, and a request was made for clemency. You want to tell us by who? Oh, you mean 1880? Mm-hmm. 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 So hold it there now, hold it there, little bird. So this is the governor writing to the colonial secretary in England. Office of the Judge Carr. Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm. Yes. And felt that probably the governor would carry more weight if the governor made that request. Mm-hmm. 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 Okay.
I would not been able to find it in our archives,
Mm-hmm.
In the colonial, in the archives in the UK, you have the covering letter from the governor, but
Mm-hmm.
then whatever it is that they're including into the colonial office, you will find. So that's why it is within the correspondence of the Anthony Musgrave, but really, it's a request to the colonial office on a recommendation of Justice Alan Carr. So Alan Carr would have,
Mm-hmm.
sent it to the governor and then it was transmitted to the colonial office.
Mm-hmm.
So in this letter to Musgrave in 1880, this is what the colonial, through the colonial secretary, so Justice Carr said, which I just said.
Mm-hmm.
But so Musgrave now
Mm-hmm.
asked Carr to give him some more information.
Mm-hmm. About the cases for the freedom fighters.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So what Carr did then was to go and find the review that Sir John Peter Grant had done on each prisoner.
Mm-hmm.
Those who want to go back to clean and to see the physical copy, because I don't think I saw it online. Would have seen a table in that article in the
Yes.
Gleaner today.
Yes, there's a table in the Gleaner.
Right.
Yes.
So the table now
Mm-hmm.
contains the information that Sir John Peter Grant, remember that Sir John Peter Grant was a governor of Jamaica as well.
That's before Musgrave.
Yes,
Uh-huh.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So John Peter Grant's remarks on each prisoner now was used in the colonial office. So it's courtesy of Sir John Peter Grant now that we know about each of these freedom fighters. And what I did was to make a table, certain columns, right? So I have the name of the 11. I have the age of the 11 of each of them in 1865, just to show how young they were. For example, John Goff was 22, 1865, and he was sentenced to life.
Mm-hmm.
Nathaniel Richards was 21, Robert was 21, Daniel Stewart, who was at 39. Somebody called Osborne, I don't know his first name, was 27.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody called Grant was 31 years. Sarah John was 44, and Caroline Grant was 39. But James Farley was 21 and was then at least in late 39. So this gives you an idea of who they were. But in 1880, when the request was made,
Mm-hmm.
they would of course have served quite a bit of time. So the 22-year-old John Goff was 37 in 1880. He was sentenced to life. And according to Sir John Peter Grant, the charge was killing Reverend M. Herschel.
Mm-hmm.
Was implicated in the killing of Herschel. Now remember,
Mm-hmm.
that this is a British government bill, and this is a sensitive notice. We don't know who we have. Who are these people gave evidence
Yes.
that Grant never said it, right? So Grant must have interviewed people, got testimonies from people about these 11. And so he's summarizing what he heard said about what they did. So that's why John Goff was implicated in Reverend Ed Herschel, and who was that said. Nathaniel Richards, he said that Nathaniel was at Lorne Bay with a volunteer's rifle, and because Robert Wilson endeavoring to look at it.
Mm-hmm.
So Nathaniel Richards is said to have pursued and tried to kill Robert Wilson. Why? Because Robert Wilson now was like switching sides.
Mm-hmm.
He was arming, the soldiers on the British side.
Mm-hmm. They had carried gunpowder to the volunteers, the British, those who were fighting for the British.
Right, but he got knives for that, and
Mm-hmm.
Robert Wilson now. Here is what Robert Wilson wrote in our statement, where the governor said his clothes were covered with blood in the after the massacre of Lorne participated in killing of several whites, reported to have said, where a man made up his mind to join war, he must make it up truly. This is a fundamental statement in
Yes, yes. In other words, you make up your mind to die if needs be.
Right.
Yes,
He used the word war.
yes, yes,
And I take my clue from the evidence and the testimonies of these ancestors.
yes,
Because Paul also said, war is not my
Ma-
battlefield.
yes,
Jason Hutton tells us that in the book of Column
yes.
8:15. But why we say rebellion and uprising?
When they use the word war, yes,
They use war.
yes,
And they talked about the planning and how they, had to get weapons because the preparedness, were also marshalling and
mm-hmm.
planning. So I am saying that from tonight, if you say uprising or rebellion, must stop saying it because uprising and rebellion give the impression that these are just from around us from no plan and no
Mm-hmm.
cause. That they are just spontaneous rising.
Yes,
But it was planned and they had cause, and they
yes,
mobilized to
yes,
fight a war against oppression. And we
absolutely.
should credit them,
What? Praise them,
and it's
praise them. Is my hero them?
yes.
Mm-hmm.
Then Daniel Stewart now was set up in Afrocentric with a musket and a party of white, having escaped from the burning home, were hiding for their lives in a prison he was in a sabbatical.
Yes.
He discovered them there and called out to his party. There's a lot of local whites in here, shoot them. So that's why he got life, and then Stewart got life.
Yes.
And then husband now said that he was an RNC. He posted up the guard as follows. We killed Walton Barron dead. Another said Stephen Cook dead. And other gentleman the inspector. We just kill him, went back to the scene now. You see my machine there? But I'm not killed, we finished them. And then the women.
Yes.
It's interesting when I look at the women, because the women apparently were saying to the men, when we plan that Tony got you born, told us what you will do, you will lead, you will fight, and apparently they said that some of the men were running away.
Mm-hmm.
So Carlin Grant apparently tried it then. Now Carlin Grant to have carried out the plunder from the police station and to have been there with the volunteers in their hand, and then to have taunted the men with leaving the work with the women and not doing as they had said that Tony Cook that they would do. And she ordered the killing of J.B. Barrel.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you recall the plea that Bertrand wrote,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
performed in the courthouse in Orange
Ye-
in 2015.
Yes.
So,
The trial of Edward, yes.
yeah, the trial of the governor here.
Governor, yes.
I have suggested to her that because I discovered the clip,
Yes.
I suggested to her that to make the claim more convincing,
Yes.
right? And whatever the outcome was going to be. Take one of these people who are in prison. They are in prison.
Mm-hmm.
In 1855, they were sent to prison. Recall one of them, and because it's an eyewitness account now, what was happening.
Yes. Yes.
So we put Carlin Grant in the play.
Yes.
One called Miss Callow, a bird caller Miss Callow.
Mm-hmm.
And her testimony was fundamental in the outcome of the sentencing of here.
Yes.
In birth artistic representation.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it was really convincing to have Carlin Grant, a real person,
Yes.
Grant, who was in there, and to come pick her from prison to be presented to this defense,
Yes.
and then automatically it's said to have been unworthy and they to have given orders for people with such a scientific that some church has set fire to this woman. So this was when this man burned alive. She lived it. It wasn't 5 minutes afterwards. The woman was fired. Now we can get this from recent history that they weren't in the courtroom. They were hiding in the nearby. But this was kind of movement, and burned. And then Anita Murray now. Women I want to check the women were involved.
Heavily involved. And were in prison at General Penitentiary.
Yes,
Because, nowadays, women don't go to General Penitentiary.
right.
Yes, this is very interesting. Yes,
Yes, Sarah Johnson got flat, Colin Randall flat,
yes,
got 20 years,
yes,
and Amelia Murray got 20 years, and Amelia would have been 41 in 1880.
yes,
So, despite grand explanations, though, I mean, I think Carr's opinion
yes.
is so intuitive, and I listen
And
to
as,
him.
and as a judge, and as a judge,
Yes,
yes.
yes,
Listeners, I want you all to realize what we're doing and take it serious. We are looking at, we are quoting from persons that were imprisoned, some for life, some for 20 years. And as Professor Verin Shepherd is saying that, we have a list here of 11 persons, and there were quite a number of women. Women were given life, women were sentenced to 20 years. So this system may never differentiate man from woman. And then now we have the governor's remarks, Sir Peter Grant's remarks now, that he's quoting the actual brothers and sisters. And so we have Amelia Murray. You want to tell us what she said?
so Amelia Murray said, well, first of all, whoever gave testimony at the interim said she was at RIP.
Yes,
Somebody saw her there.
yes,
And on being asked how many were killed, she said, we killed the Baron and rolled him down. And she was also implicated in the killing of other white people.
yes,
And there was somebody who said, and let me see if I can find this thing, because there was somebody who did not let the fact that even extreme people such as Sarah Johnson
yes,
was like,
yes,
no, she was at Stony Brook, and it reported to have spent the 11 before the attack on the street, Stony Brook and RSD, that every not just white, every black was to be killed as well as the white, and donated the men as Colin Randall had done. So it seems as if extreme people were not necessarily on the side of the African people who fight for justice.
mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm,
that's why Sarah Johnson, said that. I don't I mean, we get so much insight into the closest relating to
what actually happened? Yes,
what fell and fell.
yes, yes. And I get a feeling of the proudness of killing some of these whites. It wasn't drawback and hide and things. Said, no, I killed the boy. You understand? In other words, it's the long suffering coming out.
Exactly where that had it out.
Yes.
Not Carr's opinion. Carr said, no matter what John Peter Grant said,
Mm-hmm.
that we just read about why, one fair and one this and Carr, and his opinion, and his request. So, despite Grant's explanation, Carr's opinion that the clemency of the crown were initially extended to its prisoners remain unaltered.
Mm-hmm.
He was impressed with Grant. He said, I knew about clemency was the extra because of the people.
Mm-hmm.
The area highlights that the agency. He highlights the distress in economic and social condition
Yes.
and the injustice in the system which had pushed the people to protest.
Yes.
Pointing out that, and I quote from him, we try to assert we had something is wrong. But it is hard to tell someone who has never been a normal monopoly manager and who has not been public space, and therefore the most influential persons in the parish, no longer true to the total sentiment of humanity that has come under my notice.
Yes.
He lamented that the very clergy, which should have suffered the weak, had sided with the oppressors, so that in his view, in such circumstances, an ignorant and uninstructed population should raise a disturbance, and that murder should be committed in the process. Can wonder, it was simply a proclamation to the world that their sufferings were past endurance.
Yeah. These are amazing words.
Francis
You know.
Drake was this over 1880,
Yes. And more than likely, Carr was a white judge.
Yes, and according to him, recently people were
Yes.
It was their action, but simply a proclamation, that they're suffering in Europe.
Yes.
And then he said something else. He said, hey, this is 1880.
Mm-hmm.
The socio-political climate in Jamaica has changed significantly because it's no longer the full representative of government. It's called colony.
Mm-hmm.
No, I find that really interesting because the full representative system was not really a representative system. Now they come up representative of democracy.
Mm-hmm.
And the crown colony government now came after and they were to the respect when republic was full and the crown is in charge.
Mm-hmm.
So he said that with the crown colony government, it was calm, and he said that the environment was unsuitable for another foreign war. So the prisoners endangered the social stability and members of the parish. And he said that the next Queen's birthday, I think it would have been evidently action at the Queen's birthday,
Mm-hmm.
or given the end of the disaster. But towards December 16th, the governor Musgrave officially wrote to the Secretary of State supporting RP and expanded the use of the request. So here was the request. Those who were sentenced to life should have their sentence reduced to 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
And those who had received a 20-year sentence should be freed. And he said that he asked that this act of clemency be
Proposed to take place
following the next Queen's
his
birthday.
birthday. Mm-hmm.
But the request was denied by the colonial officials.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the decision conveyed to Governor Musgrave.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, let me look back. It's by January 1881 now. Governor Musgrave made the decision
Mm-hmm.
from the colonial office, and the mayor was the colonial secretary, Kimberly, right?
Mm-hmm.
So only within that evening, the colonial secretary, Mr. Kimberly, held up that he said the practices in Britain was that life sentences should be brought for consideration after 20 years,
Mm-hmm.
and that these had served, I think, 15.
Mm-hmm.
So in 5 years' time, he said that he would come back and hear his appeal.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't know at the moment
Yes.
what happened in 1885. We'll have to find some records for 1885 to see.
Yes.
Anybody did cause I understand the people and they asked again for clemency because he said the family was after that 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
So by much as 1885, it was again.
Mm-hmm.
I have to do some research to see if I can find out what happened.
Yes, later on, but this. So we're letting our listeners know the clemency. Clemency mean you lessen the sentence, you show some mercy, you show some kindness, and so those who get life will be reduced, those who get 20 years. So what you hear Sister Vereen mentioning now is that a judge had even recommended to the previous governor, some of these things that saying that, look, the people just couldn't take anymore. Mm-hmm. But what I like with some of these comments, especially coming from the sisters, there were some very harsh comments, they never play at all, Yes, yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes. And take up our cutlass. It's obvious that some of these women had their cutlass with them. So, boy, Yes. Yes. And probably will get 1 and 2 guns, yes. Yes, and get weapons. Fort Haldane. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm. The 14th. Mm-hmm. 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 Yes, 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 yes. Must be called. Must be called. Yes, yes. This is a powerful document. This is a powerful document. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes, yes. Mm-hmm. Yes, yes, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Well, if you notice in a lot of the comments, they start out, especially women and well, the man too. First thing they said is prove to have been at Morant Bay. So that's the first thing now. You have to establish, say, them get it. Yes, yes. They get witness to say, yeah, man, she was at Morant Bay. And chances are is the white witness them. So that's your first thing. That's your first crime. You was at Morant Bay. And then what you did after that now become the government of the situation. Mm. Yes. Mm-hmm. Tactics. Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. And also now, I'm certain now your brain working as the head of the reparations unit up there, that these must form the evidential basis for reparations. Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Yes. 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 Yeah, man, saying that the man was you have one of your own man saying the war was virtually justified. They couldn't take no more.
And that's why, people who have a chance to listen to much more time on the scale, I mean, we can prove the history,
Mm-hmm.
because the history can take too much liberty with the fact.
Mm-hmm.
You have good time to speak like because if we believe that that's actually happened.
Mm-hmm.
So really when the documents, the sources are aligned, the sources and all that stuff, there's accurate pictures of what happened. Of course, Michael Market is really spent
Yes.
money and work in illegal trading, as an historian.
Yes.
And we keep it in check, saying, no, that is not realistic. It's not exact.
Well, it came out very well because remember that Morant Day that day, they wanted to kill the man who actually played a governor here,
Let me tell you something.
They-
Who stung Miguel?
yes.
That's what
I
happened.
mean, that
Yes, they escorted my police.
police,
It was
yes.
the pop car who played that role.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes.
and he looked so much, you realize how much pop car looked like Governor Hayes. And he played that role to the hill.
Too good.
He played it to the hill.
He played too good the
It
people,
was
but
inside the courthouse.
yes.
They were sure it was Governor Hayes. With the crowd coming down. And oh God, they started out.
Yes, people.
It was like the crowd were like singing psalms and people were just battering. It was amazing.
Yes, what? But I guess the feeling had been built up. The energy had reached crescendo. That you wanted to you wanted to do something to somebody.
Yes,
Yes,
yes. And it was, they had wanted to deliver through the war and everything. So emotions were high and we went on that march. But it's the way teach history, teach history this way so that more people learn.
yes.
And I'm really hoping that Arthur, stages plays again. And in this, even on the line, let people,
Be able to see it.
see
Yes,
something.
yes.
Um, I think somebody leaves the last thing to be there next year, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So, or 2023, I believe. So, it's going to, it's been a powerful reflection of exactly what happened. And, I also praise Linda Professor Hunt for doing that research, and writing that book.
Yes,
In
yes,
marching with the ancestors in Morande,
mm-hmm.
Oro, Morande,
Yes.
because he really, really got close to the evidence. And,
But when you read that book, and then and you know that Clinton come from out Morant Bay in St. Thomas, or at least he grew up there and spent a lot of time there. But he certainly put himself in the struggle out there in writing that book, and that's what give that feel of authenticity when you read it. Yes,
yes, yes. I've read other books on Morande, but I think this is the one I like because I know where it's coming from.
yes, yes,
And coming from an understanding of people, not just something to get a degree,
yes,
but to really absorb and speak to the experiences of people and reflect an understanding of
yes,
the culture.
yes,
And,
yes.
when you were in Morande on Monday,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
there was a full debate, and St. Thomas Technical and Morande behind debate is wanting like a free of economic freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Freedom is not freedom without economic independence.
Mm-hmm.
So they really got into the root of it. And there was a panel discussion afterwards.
Yes.
They said in Jamaica, St. Thomas is whole invested in 1965.
Mm-hmm.
The moderator was young Jack Stiller.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a good day.
Mm-hmm.
At least even with the COVID-19, was to be there, say
Yes.
Physically distancing, wearing masks, everybody, and just making sure that we still
Yeah, man. Honor the ancestors.
honor the ancestors and to bring attention to the importance of the day. I think Jamaicans don't know the day, but wanted to make sure we were counted and all that sort of thing.
Yes.
Ignore
Or did nothing. But you know, some years ago, I took part in one of the march, the march from Stony God to Morant Bay. And when we were marching and with the drums, we had the drums and all sorts, nice and thing. And when we were passing one and two of the schools, and what amazed me, you know, Sister Vereen, the children them run out. All the teacher tell them, say, no, 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 the children them run out and come. And then now when them come, to see how they were dancing to the drums with the coming of the drum and the coming a beat. And the girls especially, they had a way, just like how you see the women do, they have a way of holding their skirt, you know, where you're not really lifting it up, but you bring it up a little and it give you that freedom to move the legs more. And to see these girls do the same thing, you know, hold on to the end of them skirt and start move to the beat, you know, man. It was definitely the DNA is in them. So I'm there imagining same way with all these names that we have now, Amelia Murray and James Farley and Rosanna and all of them. It said we had them with the dance coming up, you know, and rock to the drum and rock to the beat. Boy, it was beauty to behold.
yes,
Mm.
I think we have to do more fundamentals because there's some of the fundamentals in our freedom struggle. And one of the things I said out there on Monday,
Yes.
I reminded people that there were two parishes in Jamaica where plants got most of the compensation money. There's
Mm-hmm.
one in the east and it was called St. Mary, which is my parish. The amount of money, those two parishes had to do those two parishes because I feel like we got that same money. We had to develop the parish and that is another reasonable reparations demand. It was that was very interesting because St. Mary is the name there, so their parents they call it tourist parishes.
Yes.
But they want generated such income that the land from St. Mary and St. Thomas got the compensation money.
That's interesting. I didn't know. I would have thought that Westmoreland and all those St. Elizabeth and all those places would have gotten more. So wait now, let us work it out now, Sister Berry. Why you think the planters there? In other words, they lost more of the enslavers, they lost more of our brothers and sisters are
I think they had those plantations and they claimed the government there had to validate South Africa.
yes.
So they got quite a bit of compensation money, almost £700,000 in those days,
Mm-hmm.
which would have been quite a bit
No.
in today's money.
Yes.
So I made the point that that's another reason to
Mm-hmm.
really struggle back for the compensation money.
Yeah, because the parish certainly need it now.
Yeah. It's a tangible demand because you can see. I mean, Jamaica got because Jamaica had around 1833, 34. Jamaica had 311,445 enslaved Africans.
Mm-hmm.
And they mounted almost 14,000 claims for compensation. And they got 6.2, I think, or 36% of the compensation money from the entire Caribbean because of the size of their enslaved population. So they divided it per head.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Top five were Jamaica, Guyana, Barbados, Trinidad and Tobago, and Grenada and St. Vincent and Grenadines next. Yeah. So Jamaica 37%,
Mm-hmm.
But as I said, when you look at the parishes now, it's really interesting to
Mm-hmm.
see the way in which, Presbyterian, not just the Presbyterian testimony, really got part of it, of their compensation money.
And apparently just took it to England.
Well, this is what happened,
Mm-hmm.
they didn't really invest the money in the parish.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know,
Probably the money actually
so
never.
that,
Probably the money actually didn't even come to Jamaica. Just like how the tourist trade do it now. The money is paid up there, go to the bank account up there, and so on. And the persons come here have a holiday, but all of the money stays up there. Mm-hmm.
so, and, the evidence, we have the evidence to, to push this case of compensation. And so each one,
Yes,
so that really just for ancestors. I have the table in front of me, the parish breakdown for Jamaica
yes.
in terms of the compensation money and by gender as well. So that,
Tell us more the parish now.
payment,
Tell us a little about the parish.
payment and
Yes.
mail payment.
In terms of the parish, give us an idea. Now you said the two most
So the
other
total,
parishes. Mm-hmm.
the total, well, let's see. Let me look at the men, for example. All right.
Yes.
So, let me look at the right, the total. St. Mary, 573.781 thousand pounds sterling in May.
Mm-hmm.
And when I look at St. Thomas, it's 591,101.
Mm-hmm.
The next one after that was St. James. St. James is like third, followed by, let's see, Hanover. And
Hanover. A little strange.
yes, Hanover.
Yeah.
But St. Thomas in the East and St. Mary being those. And if you add what the women claim, then you can see those two parishes ahead. St. James was doing good, 715,448.
Mm-hmm.
But again, lagging behind St. Mary and until I checked out the calculations from my colleague Aminori, Professor Aminori in Melbourne, get access to the figures,
Mm-hmm.
So we talk about poverty, we have to look at the historical
Have to, because that has contributed tremendously. Yes,
migration.
yes, yes. Because you get all that money, and clearly none was invested back into the people or the parish.
That's right. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to remember that our ancestors did contribute to the accumulation of this wealth, because this wealth accumulated
Yes,
away
yes.
and it's invested elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to join the movement for factory justice.
Yes.
Yeah.
You hear that, listeners? This is what the movement for reparator and reparatory justice is all about, that you can analyze now. And we're going to get more figures as time goes on, and see that the majority of the money went to St. Thomas and St. Mary planters. And today, these two parishes are considered economically, yes, because, I like the idea that them, oh, Lord have mercy, man. Yes, very rich, very rich.
Yeah.
And
But
so,
but the thing, even with the demand for factory justice,
yes.
we have to endorse that it was helped to set up our parishes.
Mm-hmm.
It has to come from wealth generation, industries, and within the parish.
Mm-hmm.
And money that is paid. Because if we're not careful in Jamaica today, is that, you have people, it might look like, they're investing in the country, but really the money and the profits are going home.
Yes, man. Mhm.
So Jamaica shouldn't be poor, but it is.
Yes,
Because people, a lot of the people, the meat and mass and production are owned by people who not really coming into Jamaica and doing the best of the mind,
yes.
you know.
No, the tourism industry is a classic example.
Yeah.
Classic example, man.
I
Hmm.
you know, but we are doing so.
Yes, yes.
And we can do better, I think. And with this, the factors and
Hmm.
issues going
Hmm.
around, I think we have to really kind of um, listen to them, and it's just, we don't really, in the media, we see what media is focusing on, people, want to push this thing instead of develop a culture.
It's deliberate because they really literally fear another Morant Bay. Yes, so they fear another Morant Bay.
But I can't leave you without speaking against people who don't
Yes.
know history. History will tell you why Jamaicans didn't have history and how it kind of developed. Because, it's amazing how many people don't even. I was saying to a friend next week they're going to ask them around day one,
Hmm.
because history is dying.
Hmm.
Please, someone history people must be anchored to their origins and culture.
It's more than a subject. It's more than just another subject to pass for your. See, it's more than a subject. Yes. Your life. Your life. Yeah, man. Yeah.
Some of them really leadership in terms of the education system.
Well, just how they behave, they do. None of the parties them really call upon the historians and they getting ideas.
Some of them reach out to us for information from time to time. The guys, I remember them reach out to and the lawyer said when they wanted information when it comes to the referendum, so they reach out from time to time. So we are saying that it's for all of them to interview them,
Absolutely.
focusing on history.
Nice. Mama Vereen, we really have to run now, but I really give thanks. Thanks a lot. You have given us a brainful. Some people say mouthful, but this is really a brainful.
Happy to
Yeah, man. I will keep in touch with you. Thanks a lot, my sister.
you know.
One love, blessings and honor.
All right.
You take care now. Irie. Very good. Good. So there you have it, people. We have to run now. It's the closing of Bitter Sugar, but we're so glad. So glad to speak to Mama Vereen Shepherd, who has really given us a lot. And please, some of you look at that table in the newspaper today. It's very important what is said, you know, and some of the women, what they have said there, that look, we had to kill some whites. But it's an interesting article, and you'll see where a judge of the court, and when he really said that, look, the people had reached their level of endurance, they couldn't take no more. In other words, the oppression in St. Thomas that led to the Morant Bay War. Interesting. And then we have now some of the brothers and sisters who were involved in the struggle referring to the actions as war. Well, we're not here now. Thank all. We thank Sister Vereen Shepherd. We thank, it was lovely to hear Sister Flo O'Connor. Yes, we're going to be keeping in touch with her. Brilliant, great sister. Yeah, man. And we read a few poetry. We're going to read some more next week. Blessings and honor. Give thanks. Yes, sir. Blessings. Are you marked for another program this week? Another station? Or on another station this week?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, talking about how we should be careful of the vaccine. Yeah, man, some good reasoning, man. Good reasoning.
You're simply the best.
Did you go to CD?
Yeah.
SFM 100 on your dial. Keep listening.
Hello there. Yes, indeed. This is the prophet, Reverend Mark Stewart, inviting each and every one of you to join us for war. It's going to be a war this and every Wednesday. Of course, it's going to be hot. It's going to be powerful. Come for the word. Come for the preaching. Come for the teaching. Of course, the music. And of course, midnight warfare fire. With me, the prophet Mark Stewart, Apostle Marshall, Reverend Eric Box, and of course, the Reverend Jackie and things. For the hard way. Join us every Wednesday night from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. Come and join us. Will you? Sponsored by all our partners, our friends of the ministry. Will you join us? Yes, indeed. It's going to be powerful. This and every Wednesday, 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. We're going to lick it to the bus, darling.
It's good. It's better. But nothing beats.